Hey guys, Billy here. I'm a multi-gladiator hunter and this video is Hunter Warrior Disc gameplay, otherwise known as KFC. This comp does huge damage and can kill in goes as well as between them. Don't forget to subscribe to ensure you won't miss out on any of the hunter content. You can also catch me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Billybobbs and you can join my Discord. I'll put the links to both of these in the description and I hope you enjoy the video. For this game we're facing basically a mirror, but instead of a priest healer they have a Resto Druid. So we go in stealth. My warrior's going one way and my priest went the other, so they cannot double stun us with a fear. We start on the hunter, and I put some dots on the warrior as well. Just doing damage to the hunter, the Resto Druid comes out and then he instantly fleshcrafts. I focus him and then I kick him and then I stun, and then I get a trap off. We also warbanned our healer's trap, so he's completely fine and doesn't need a trinket. We also use PS and parry here. We then get a fear and we get their rally and turtle from the hunter. He's very low, however he just lives on about 300 health. At this point they've used quite a few of their defensive cooldowns, so we're just doing PvE damage. I run over to the Resto Druid to make him use his stuff so that he can get away so I can trap easier. The warrior then maledicts and we charge the druid into a stormbolt and slow, which means I'm then able to run onto him and get a full trap. We then have a spear onto the hunter and the warrior. The hunter feigned death and we also get iron bark from the druid as well as trinket. And our priest also uses dome, so now we're just doing normal damage to the hunter and I stay close to the Resto Druid. I'm also far away from the warrior so that I can avoid damage. Here we also managed to kill the hunter's pet, which means that he's forced to res it or do very little damage for the rest of the game. I have stun trap coming back soon, so I follow the hunter behind the pillar and I'm waiting for my warrior to connect before I do any goes. The Resto Druid tries to clone me, however I feign death it and then trap him. Now I'm doing damage to the hunter and I pop Beast Mastery Hunter and cooldowns and we get intervened from the warrior. He starts to kite away. My priest lands a full fit onto the Resto Druid and then my warrior gets slowed so he cannot connect, so it's down to me and I managed to kill the hunter. We also had my stun left, so even if we didn't kill right there, we still had another 5 seconds in which we could have killed the hunter. This game we're facing Turbo, or Warrior Enhar Shaman, and they've got a Paladin healer. My warrior charges in and I send my pets in to do damage. I then stun the healer and then get a full trap. They don't banner it or grounding. I now get away so they cannot cleave me. My warrior just popped cooldowns here and we force Shaman's wall. They're now changing their attention to me. I get stormbolted, charged, so I sack myself, and then immediately after the stun I feign death. I then cheat it and free them away, and it's spear, so my priest domes, however we overlap and I also turtle. However, it doesn't really matter because this is all their cooldowns anyway, so we just need to live this. They're then on my warrior again, so I cancel the turtle and I'm doing damage. I'm now trying to kite away. I kite them onto my priest, however it's not that important because I just need to get away here. We then get a triple fear and I start to maledict, however it gets interacted with a fear. My priest then follows up with a DR fear and then I miss the trap. We're now hitting the shaman and the paladin is trying to maledict. They also warbanner here, so I'm killing the warbanner and now I'm going back on the shaman to hit him. They're chasing my warrior and priest around the pillar, so I make sure to try and keep them slowed when I can. And now we're doing damage. I kill the grounding, hitting the shaman again. I have traps soon, so I stun the paladin. Then I land a full trap onto the paladin, and this forces his trinket as the shaman is very low, and we also get sack and big heal. I tried to purge the big heal, however it's slightly too slow and it didn't purge. Rally falls here, so we know we can kill soon, and because the paladin's sacked, it means that he's very low. We then get a fear onto both DPS and the paladin pops his wall here, and we know that we can kill him very soon. We then get a full stormbolt off DR. We then force his bubble here. We can't MD it as our priest is very low, so therefore I sack him and he gets DR hodged. He manages to live here, so we know that we can do another go. I'm now hitting the paladin while the other two DPS are around the pillar. I put a tar trap down to slow them all, and now we top our attention to the shaman. He gets a freedom, and then he gets very low, so we force him to pop his wall. He then chain harvests, so now he's topped again. Our priest then triple fears all the DPS and the paladin. The paladin's also very low here, and he doesn't have any healing or defensive left, so we're able to land the kill here. Here we're facing Shadow Priest, Resto Druid, Mage, and versus this you don't need to trap as much because the Shadow Priest can just master spell it, and it can be quite difficult to trap a Resto Druid sometimes. So I go over, I start to stun the Resto Druid, and then I'm going to trap, however the Shadow Priest grips him, the Mage then rings. Then I get feared, so this means that I cannot land the trap. However, if we do get Iron Bark and Combustion, I therefore pop Beast Mastery Hunter to get my pets out of the ring and sack the warrior so he's completely fine. Hit the Door of Shadows so that we can keep pressure up onto the Shadow Priest. I then keep doing damage to the Shadow Priest. I get a kill shot proc, and I'm doing quite a lot of damage. I run over to the Druid and get a trap. We then manage to stun the Master Spell so that he cannot Master Spell it. He then Greater Fades and then Master Spells. He's then also Shadow Mending as we don't have any kick left. We get a full Mind Games onto the Shadow Priest and then he shackles my pets. At this point we're doing quite well because we've got quite a lot of the cooldowns from the healer and the Shadow Priest. We then get a Warrior Fear onto the Druid. I try to throw a trap, however it doesn't land. But yeah, versus this you don't need to trap that much. I kick the Mind Games and then I kill the Scythe. Our healer then gets full cloned and they're trying to do a Mind Games go on our warrior. He then leaps away so that he can try and outrange the Shadow Priest and not die. I stun the rest of the Druid into a full trap, however because we don't have kick the Shadow Priest can just Master Spell it. We're then doing damage to the Shadow Priest and the Druid fully cyclones my warrior. I then go to the Druid and I kick the reclone so that we can actually get some damage out. We then get Greater Fade and we had a full melee onto the Shadow Priest. My warrior now pops his Kyrian Spear and starts doing a lot of damage to the Shadow Priest. However, we don't even need CC on the rest of the Druid and we're able to just kill through. This was quite dangerous because if we didn't kill here, they could have won as they were just getting all their cooldowns back. Here we're facing Shadow Priest, Ellie, Shaman, Resto Shaman, and this again is going to be very hard to trap because they got double grounding, they got Priest Grip, and they got Master Spell. So this is the game that we can just kill the Priest on damage. I get rooted here and decide not to freedom my pets as we might need freedom later on. I go in and I stun the Shaman, we get the grip, I then throw the trap and actually hits because it didn't ground. I then also get feared and my priest dispels me. I now pop cooldowns and I start doing damage to the priest, and I kick the Void Eruption just to avoid some big damage. This was the Ellie Shaman's pop as well, so we're just lining it. We got one Maledict on our warrior and we managed to dispel it. He then intervenes our priest and tries to run away, so because this is their main go, so this is where they do all their damage. So now I'm just hitting the Shadow Priest whilst trying to line the Ellie. I then run around the corner so that it cannot hit me. I then run down and I get Lightning Lassoed. I was going to trinket it, but I decided not to. I then keep doing damage to the Shadow Priest so we get his Desperate Prayer and the Shaman's Fleshcraft. I then try and bait the grounding, and then I manage to land a full trap onto the Shaman. I then get stunned as well, but it's very DR. We then pop Kyrian Spear, and we're doing big damage to the Shadow Priest, and we get his Dispersion. I then Maledict the Dispersion, however it gets dispelled. The Shadow Priest is still very low here, and the rest of the Shaman's out of line, so they cannot top him. The Priest has no more defensive left, and I get a kill shot proc, and we're able to kill before the Shaman can link. Here we're facing Holy Pala jungle, so I run in stealth, as I'm going to try and find them. However, the Survivor Hunter just opens on my warrior. I put a flare down to try and get the Feral out. I run next to the Paladins to try and trap some stealth, however I miss it. I should just stun. They then get a full trap onto our healer, and they start doing damage to the warrior. The hunter comes next to me to slow me. I disengage the slow. I've popped cooldowns here, so I'm doing damage to the feral. They also use Roar of Sacrifice on the feral. And then trying to line both of them so that if they do want to swap to me, they can't. The paladin uses his big heal. I then run behind the pillars, try and trap the paladin. However, I get Hodge, I trinket the Hodge, and my warrior kicks the clone. I then stun the paladin and we get a stormbolt onto the feral when he's out of form, so he has to trinket and barkskin. I then get a full trap onto the paladin. The warrior pops cooldowns and me and the priest both maledict. The feral walls, but it's too late. The paladin bots the feral out of the trap, however he's so low, and then we fear off. The paladin trinkets, but it's too late and the feral dies. This game we decided to try and kill the priest, so my warrior goes in and starts doing damage on the priest whilst I look for the hunter and the feral. I see the hunter, so I put a tar trap down to try and get him out. The feral then stuns me, and I send my pets onto the priest so that they can start doing damage. My priest then decides to grip me up after I feign death and heal. The feral then tries to maledict me, so I stun it. The priest uses dome, and then we fear the next maledict from the priest. The fear also takes him outside of the dome, so we stun, they trinket, and then we use Kyrian Spear to try and keep them outside of the dome, and we manage to just kill here with raw damage. This game we're facing Feral Warrior Disc. We go in and they open on my priest. They start doing big damage to him. Their warrior pops cooldowns as well as the feral. I stun the priest into a full trap. The feral starts kiting, so we decide to go kill the warrior. The warrior's low here, and the trap still hasn't ended on the priest. My priest gets a double fear onto the feral and the priest. The priest then wills to get out of the fear. The warrior's also used his parry here, and the rally's falling soon. I kick the mind games from the priest, and my priest jumps down and then decides to dome himself to stop incoming damage. I then run next to the priest so that I can try and bait the death so that I can trap. However, they don't end up deafing, so I just trap. Now they're in a full CC and they don't have trinket because they're still on CD because they used will. Their warrior now pops cooldowns and we also get the PS from the priest on the warrior. The feral then roars me and clones the warrior to stop a lot of the incoming damage. However, before the clone, the warrior managed to fear the healer so that we get a longer CC chain. I then get feared by the priest as I'm trying to do damage. My priest is now lining to get away from the feral and the warrior so that he doesn't die. The warrior is now behind the pillar. I kick the mind games from the priest and then I stun the shackle into a full trap, and here we're able to land a kill onto the warrior as he has no defensive left. This game we're facing warrior, windwalker, resto shaman healer. My warrior just dashes in and I get earth grabbed, so therefore I freedom myself and I stun the healer. We also use dome to avoid some incoming damage. I throw a trap, however there's a banner up and we couldn't quite kill it, so it was a half trap. We're now just doing damage to whatever we hit because the windwalker ran away. Doing damage to the warrior now. Me and the warrior are very stacked, so when the windwalker comes in he pops cooldowns and leg sweeps us both, and the warrior uses his Kyrian Spear. I human and then disengage, so I dodge the Kyrian Spear as well. They're now bursting down my warrior and they get a paralysis onto my priest. My warrior uses his Kyrian Spear and we get intervened from the warrior onto the monk. The warrior is very low here as well as the monk because we're pumping damage. The monk also now uses diffuse. Here my priest now doors in to try and get a fear onto the shaman. However, there was a tremor totem down, so the fear breaks. I now run in to try and get a trap as well. However, the monk uses Bring of Peace, which means I can't run directly to the shaman, so I have to run round. I then get a full trap onto the shaman. However, this means that the melees are both close to me, and it means they start trying to target me instead. The Windwalker pops Karma, and I get Storm Bolted, so my priest grips. I then feign death and disengage away so that I'm far enough away so they can't do any damage to me. The rally just fell, and now we're just pumping damage into the monk. We get a shackle onto him, and the shaman can't heal through it, so therefore the monk just dies. Here we're facing FMP, which is Fire Mage Feral with a Holy Paladin. We go in, I try to put a flare down to try and get them out. I open onto the mage, and then I kick the polymorph. I stun the paladin into a full trap, however because my pets are rooted it means that they break the trap. My warrior then Kyrian spears the mage and he gets bopped, so this means he can just walk out of it. And we can't get the bop on the mage, so we decide to just turn our attention to the feral and we get his bark skin. The mage is also now polying the warrior and then he blinks and polys our healer. And now we're hitting the mage again because the bop's gone. I'm next to the paladin so that I can trap him as soon as it becomes available. We then get the mage very low here. We get freedom from the paladin onto the mage. My priest then goes in to fear the paladin. I then get a full trap off of this and we prop the mage's cauterize into a storm bolt and then ice block. We manage to break the ice block. We get an execute crit and I manage to kill shot and then we get him into pod. However, the paladin ultimate sacked the pod, so therefore we have to turn our attention to the paladin. I start attacking the paladin. He uses divine favor on himself. However, he's taking a lot of damage from the sack and therefore we're able to just kill him and therefore we win the game. This game we're facing Shadow Priest, Ellie Shaman, Resto Shaman. We go up and we start on the priest. I then manage to disengage off of the bridge by accident. However, it doesn't really matter that much. I then stun the shaman into a full trap. The priest also just trinketed the Stormwalk from my warrior. Then the Kyrian Spear from the warrior means that he's doing a lot of damage to the priest. We get the Earthen Wall from the shaman and Grounding Totem. We then get a full fear onto the shaman and the Dispersion from the priest, and then they also fear us. Now we're just doing damage to the priest. This is their counter go, so our warrior gets pretty low here. He uses his rally and is died by the sword. The Resto Shaman also uses the full shackle onto the warrior. We manage to dispel this, and then the Shadow Priest then uses the shackle as well, as does the Ellie. We manage to dispel all of these or stun them. I then Door of Shadows in so that I'm able to get a trap. I trap so he can't hex. However, I then get hexed by the Ellie. However, it's only half, so it doesn't really matter. The priest has no dispersion here, so I decide to shackle as the shaman is still in a fear from the priest. The priest then greater fades, however because the shackle's already casting it doesn't stop the damage. My warrior gets an execute and therefore we're able to kill the priest here. Thanks all for watching and I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed making these sort of videos, so if you do like it let me know. Also stay tuned as the next How to Be X class guide will be coming out fairly soon. I hope you all have a great day. Peace out.